Hey guys, it's me again, Orc Slayer. What ifs? Where we last left off? Let's see. Checking. Where I last left off? Well, newsflash. I'm gonna stop doing, or not, I'm gonna put a couple series on hold. It's gonna be the Space Marine and What If Deku Was a Fallen, as well as the Nergigante What If. It's been going on, they've been going on for a lot of parts. So I'm going to put them on the hold for a bit for them to accumulate another bit of a following. As for, well, in the Fallen What If, well, that's a special thing because, yeah, I have no idea really where to take some of the characters that are coming up, like Mithrax, whichever you prefer to call them, in the season of the Splicer. I do have some interesting ideas, but I would like to get at least to the next DLC, or maybe even a bit further ahead of that, so that way I can have a lot of parts, because I got a lot of ideas to deal with Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, and that is a lot of ground for me to cover, but I am really just more or less interested in waiting it out to see what will happen next, before I try to add on to the story, before it is even finished. As for the Space Marine What If, I got the beginning of that in my head already, but I feel like I should mull it over some more. And there was another one, Nergigante What If. It's more or less because I've done it for like 13 parts, so I'm gonna take a hold, because that's how I typically did. Is I'd let it go on for 13, maybe 10 to 13 parts, then I would stop it, give it a little break to jump onto another series. So the series I have currently going on are What If Bell Was the Fume Knight. Well, that's actually it. And this is the newest series, What If Clayton Carmine was in the RWBY universe. Now, let me explain. There is a character from the Gears of War series. Not many of you may know it. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure it was a pretty popular game. But I chose Clayton Carmine, not Marcus Phoenix or Dominic Santiago. Or as I prefer to call him, Dom. Or everyone actually calls him Dom. I like the Carmine family. I like Clayton, Benjamin, and... Not Benjamin. Yeah, it's Benjamin, Franklin, and... Shit. Not Franklin, shit. Clayton Carmine. I believe it's Clayton, Benjamin. Then there's the brother who's in the middle, but I can't remember his name. What was it? His name starts with an A. What was it again? Hey, I went ahead and found the Anthony Carmine is the middle brother between Clayton and Benjamin. So, in the game, the Carmine family is is pretty much oriented about the military. All three brothers end up in the military. Clayton, being the oldest, is in there for a much longer period of time. And if you know the games, well... Yeah, I feel bad for what I'm about to do to this family, but... sacrifices, right? As they grow up on the outskirts of Atlas territory, where they are in secluded villages. Well... They're nice little towns that are heavily protected by the Atlas military. Even at some of these towns, they have actual military bases where they train cadets and such to be shipped off to the larger cities in Atlas. I believe it's Vale is one of them. As well, Clayton is one day just standing there, or not just standing there, he's actually just watching his two younger brothers play in the snow, as he at this point is 6 years old, or 6 or 7 years old, as Benjamin, being the youngest, is around 4, or 3 or 4, with Anthony being like smack dab in the middle at 6. Well, make that 7. As Benjamin is standing, not Benjamin, as Clayton is standing there just watching his brothers, his father comes down and sits right next beside him. He's like, watching your younger brothers, Clayton? As Clayton just goes like, yeah. He's like, how, aren't you gonna join them? He's like, no, I don't think so. Not now, at least. Why not? As Clayton thinks on it, he's just like, yeah, I just feel more comfortable right here, Dad. As he's like, you like to watch over him. He's like, yeah. Well, I was just... As he's, sorry, I had to go somewhere for a bit. As his dad says, yeah, I was like that with my little brothers too. But, man, Clayton, you can't just isolate yourselves from them just being a figure watching over them. Because then they'll hide things from you. Sometimes when they hide things, they take on things that's too big for them. You know what I mean? As Clayton's listening to this, he's like, I don't really, Dad. He's like, well, hopefully you don't have to one day. Go on. Go play your brothers. That's an order. As his dad's an actually retired captain from the military. He was offered a more cozy position inside of, like, the floating city of Atlas, but he declined going for the more country life, you could call it. As Clayton's like, alright, Dad. As he grabs a snowball and throws it at Anthony, who is currently like helping Benjamin build a snowman. As Clayton looked down and just sort of formed a snowball, he's like, As he threw one, it hit Clayton like the back of his shoulder. As Clayton's like, huh? As he looked behind him and he saw his brother grabbing another one. As Anthony grabbed Benjamin, he's like, get to cover, Benjamin, quickly! As Benjamin just sort of walled alongside him, as they both went behind like a little bit of a snow mount. As Clayton started throwing a few snowballs, Benjamin's like, huh? As he was somewhat startled, but Anthony's like, it's okay, it's just brother. And he's like, here. As he like forms a snowball, he's like, throw it at Clayton. As Benjamin sort of looks up, as Clayton throws one, he misses, as then he just like sort of huff ones over, and it just sort of hits Clayton as he's like, ha. As he just lets out like a nice little kid laugh, you could call it. As some of the other kids see this, as they all just join in and have a nice little snowball fight, as it's the Carmine brothers versus pretty much the rest of the town. As people from all outside come and watch their kids have a nice snowball fight. As everyone's laughing and having fun, they get a like a nice little alarm as it says, Grimm are approaching. Please head to a safety center. Large horde of Grimm approaching. Repeat. Large horde of Grimm approaching. As his dad's like, come on, Clayton. Get your brothers. Time to move. As he pretty much grabbed their mom as well. He's like, come on, dear. As they're all going out. Sorry? As they're making their way to the shelter, it's like, come on, inside, inside. As the shelter closes behind them, as everyone is actually very uneasy. They never really have had the alarm go off for a very large Grimm horde approaching. As their dad's like, it's okay, guys, don't worry. It's a Grimm horde, yeah, but we got some of the best defenses Atlas can offer. As the soldiers are like, as even the soldiers up front, like, protecting the entrance are like, oh, man. Alright, where's those huntsmen when you need them? As it's like, they're coming. Alright, we just gotta hold out for a bit of time. It's like, alright, as they crack the necks. Sorry. It is late at night, as I typically record. I don't know why. As they shout out saying, the Grimm are approaching! Get ready! as they just keep on hearing, "Remain calm. While in this center, please notify your nearest police officer. The Grimm are being taken care of. The finest troops of Atlas are protecting you as we speak. So do not worry, and have a safe day. And please remain calm in this time of need." As pretty much Papa Carmine, I'll just call him, let's see, Mama Carmine, Papa Carmine. There we go. Papa C, Mama E, Mama C. There we go. Best. As Clayton, Benjamin, and Anthony are all just standing there, somewhat scared, while Papa C and Mama C are just trying to keep them calm. It's like, it's okay, as Mama C is just holding Benjamin. Stop trying to yawn. Wow. Clayton's like, Clayton and, well, not Clayton, Anthony is being calmed down by their dad, while Clayton's just standing there, just like, oh, well, everything's kind of going weird, but alright. As they're all just waiting there, it's just like, Grimm horde has arrived. As the soldiers are like, alright, this is it, move, get out, go, go. As they just start hearing whirling of guns and such, as they are unleashed upon this horde of Grimm. As this horde of Grimm is approaching very rapidly, as Clayton is just standing there, just wondering, I wonder what's happening. As he sees like a little girl who's standing there, just like looking scared and actually quite terrified, you could say, about saying that she's looking for mommy and daddy, as she's just looking all around. As well, there's some of the guards that are stationed outside, as they just pretty much put her in there and told her to stick with their grandparents. As Clayton wanders over and says, it's alright, don't worry. He's like, hey, my mom and dad are right there, maybe they could help. As he pretty much comes over and tugs on his dad's shirt, it's like, what, Clayton? It's like, this little girl lost her grandparents and can't find them. Her parents are the guards outside. As he's like, oh no. He's like, hey, listen, why don't you just stick with us for now, and then we'll go find your grandparents later, alright? This little girl's like, saying, okay, as she's like rubbing her eyes. Clayton's like, hey, here. As he like hands her like a little trinket he carries along with her. And what it is, it's actually like his first little toy soldier he got from his dad. It's handmade, you could say. Like nice and carved out wood. As his dad's like, what? It's like, oh yeah, I made him that when he was just a boy. My little soldier. As he sees him as he hands it off to this little girl, as she's like, huh? It's like, it always keeps me calm down. It's like a good luck charm. As she's like, thank you. He's like, it's no problem. As, well, Mama C and Papa C just look at this and smile at each other. As later on, they come out and see the soldiers had been, they had been quite thrashed. And it was only thanks to the huntsmen and huntresses arriving that they actually lived. Or at least most of them did. The girl lost her dad in the little firefight that came around. The Sabertooths, they would describe it to her, and I kinda would. Well, let's try to keep it at least a little bit less gory than what it has to be. For now, at least. This is a character from Gears of War I'm bringing in. You can bet anything you have that there is gonna be blood and guts. At least for what you can count as blood and guts to Grimm. As Clayton's dad hears about this, he's like, that poor girl. It's not easy losing a dad. Trust me, I would know. Maybe you kids should actually invite her along. Go have fun with her and such. As they're like, we don't know. As it's like, it's fine. Trust me. when it comes to this, like that, a thing like this, kids, it's best to get someone's mind away from it until until a certain point, you know, as they're like, no, Dad, we don't know. He's like, oh, right. Well, anyways, why don't you guys go have some fun today? I've been listening, and seems like the Grimm have mainly gone away. Shouldn't be any alarms or anything going off anytime soon, alright? As they're like, okay, Dad. He's like, good. Now, get going. As we skip 2 to 3 years forward, Clayton's getting quite a bit taller than his brothers already. As his father thinks, he's already getting growth spurts. That's odd. As Clayton is actually quite big for most of the kids around. As he takes on the role as the big brother when it comes to all the children around him. As he talks to them actually very calmly, as it's like, hey guys, how you doing? As he is very calm in nature. As he actually gets riled up a little bit, but he always remains somewhat calm somehow. It's what the parents say. He's like, yeah, he reminds me a lot about you, Dad. Or not Dad. A lot about you, Mr. Carmine. He's like, how so? He's like, you always had this air of calmness around you. Like, you wouldn't even get mad half the time. You'd just be calm you'd be so calm that some people, not to be rude, but people just called you the stone wall. Or the statue or something like that. Because you just kept very calm and composed. Like some of the statues you see up there at those, up in Atlas Museum and Atlas art galleries, you know? As he's like, really? Like, yeah, no joke. Actually, you stood still so long one time, you actually had snow covering half your body. You didn't even notice it until some kids actually thought you were just like a statue, so they came over and just looked at you and actually threw something at you, and then you turned and scared the shit out of him. He's like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's like, but your son is turning out to be a bit just like you. He's like, yeah, hopefully he doesn't get everything. As then one day when they're at school, their teacher actually starts talking about semblances and aura. As this is like a minor combat school, nothing too big, as there's not too many kids going there. But Clayton, after begging his dad to let him go, said, alright, fine. As that little girl, whose name we'll come up with. Actually, you know what? You guys come up with a name for the girl. I'll just be referring to her as the girl from now on. Or at least until you guys decide a name for her. I would choose the one that is liked the most. And yeah, that's about it. As they go on, the woman talks about aura and semblances. And as she goes on to explain the semblance, a semblance is a unique power to every person. Very few semblances ever end up being the same, or even similar in that reason. For instance, one huntsman may have his semblance be able to, for instance, let's say use a minor bit of telekinesis, which is to lift objects in the air. Another one may be able to summon sort of clones of himself to fight. It all really depends on the huntsman. But another one is that they may be able to just use another special power like this. As she goes on to explain that she once saw a huntsman who could, instead of charging up, shooting one shot, he could sort of charge a couple of shots in a way, as his gun was actually specially crafted for this reason. His weapon was pretty much a triple barrel pistol. As it could shoot once, Or he could sort of in a way, he would shoot, but it wouldn't fire. And then shoot again, and again, it wouldn't fire. Then on the third shot, it would unleash 3 rounds that were sort of charged up, you could say, that formed into one giant ball as it blasted a hole in the Grim. As they're like, couldn't this just be dust and such? Like, I remember my parents telling me about that. He's like, it could have, but it's how it activated. See, his semblance did a flash of light, and then as he shot, the bullets didn't get out. He actually didn't have to reload or anything. It's just that, in a way, the semblance recognized that he had charged up, you could say, his weapon, and fired, releasing a nice ball of energy that punched straight through over a dozen Grim. As Clayton heard, wow, and was actually amazed by it. His girl's like, is this really that interesting to you, Clayton? It's like, I know you want to join the military, but he's like, I actually kind of want to try to become a huntsman, you know? As he is like talking about how the huntsmen always save the day when it comes down to it, isn't it? They rush in, stop the Grim, and then boom, everyone's safe. As he's like, yeah, but... As the girl sort of gives up on trying to convince him otherwise, knowing it is quite foolish. She's like, alright. He's like, so, how has things been going with your mom and such? She's fine now. Like, Dad's gone, but we've sort of moved on, you know? He's like, sorry to hear that. As he's like, hey, are you two talking in my class? No, ma'am. As he's like, alright, then pay attention. It's like, we'll talk later, alright? As they talk later about how everything's been going with them. As Clayton says, yeah, Dad's been... he actually took me out hunting for a little bit. Really? He's like, yep. Of course, we had to go with, like, another group of people, but still. It's like, what'd you hunt? Just, like, a deer thing. It's like, wow. I didn't know those things were around here. She's like, yeah, my dad says it's because of the Grim. With all the Grim, it's difficult for wildlife and such to actually be around. That they just get hunted down by the Grim. That there are very, very few creatures here that are not Grim that can actually fight Grim equally. One of them being this, like, giant tundra wolf-like creature. As he talked about how it takes down the tiger Grim on a daily basis. That they hunt in packs and fight against a large horde of Grim sometimes. Sorry. It's pretty cool, actually. Talked about how he and one of them actually fought side by side when he was separated from his squad and the wolf was separated from its pack. They were gonna fight each other, then a bunch of the saber-tooth Grim descended on them, as he put it. Like, man, that is actually really cool. He's like, yeah? What are you gonna do? As she says, nothing really. I really haven't given it much thought what I want to do. As he says, well, I want to go and, join the Huntsman Academy at Atlas. As she's like, are you sure about that? It's like, doesn't seem... Why don't you go to another Huntsman Academy? He's like, well... I kind of want to stay close to home, but... As he's thinking about, it's like, large horde of Grim approaching. As it's like, me. As they're like, come on, it's time to go. As they get up and walk out. As he's like, it's kind of weird that sometimes it seems like how quickly the Grim are attacking. It seems like there's more and more of them. He's like, yeah. But hey, you never know. It's like, yeah. As they make it to the shelter, it's like, hey, Mom, hey, Dad. As they're like, hey, good to see you. As Clayton, or Papa C, actually took his position back as a captain, but he took over garrison duty, you could call it. as he noticed that the troops, when it comes to protecting this town, were soft, as he would put it. He's like, he put in like a thing for be reinstated in the Atlas military for at least a temporary period, as he asked permission to take over command of the defense of this little town, saying that it's where he lives, and he notices that the guards around are becoming quite slack at their job. As this went over with a bit of a person that resides over the area, but he said that as he looked at his battle report and said that he was completely happy to have him take over it, noting that he has a very detailed and well-served history in the Atlas military, having led several attacks on on grim hordes and all the like. As he says that he'd be very helpful, in fact, as it's like, thank you, sir. As it's like, no, thank you. Oh, sorry. As as Clayton and all of them get down into the bunker and just wait. As at this point, his Benjamin and Anthony come prepared with a deck of cards. And so, like, here, as it's like, oh, thanks. Thanks, Anthony. As they all just sit down and start playing. As eventually it says, large group of Grim approaching. Prepare for attack. As they're about to say that, they hear as it's like the power just went out. What the? As they hear they hear the guards that are posted inside the little compound are like, hey, what's going on out there? We just lost power. We don't know. It seems like one of the generators are acting up or something. As Papa C orders some of his troops to go check on the generator rooms, as he isn't quite sure what has happened. So he says, I'm trying to get monitor feeds, but there's nothing. So he's like, man, sometimes I hate this new technology they come out with. So much more simple. Gas generators is all we really need, or dust generators, actually. But now they're trying to go with this high-tech, fancy stuff. It's trying to screw with everything that we got set up around here. Then again, that dust can go back to serving Atlas military, I guess. We could use it, though. He's like, thank you all. Sorry, everyone. It seems the power cut out for a bit, but it seems like my troops are getting the power back on. Excuse me, Squad D, how are you holding up? As it's like, oh, fuck! As it's like, language, what's happening? He's like, they're everywhere, sir! The Grim punched a hole through the fucking... What the fuck? As then he's cut off, as he just hears screams. He's like, Squad E and C, go check out the generators now. Just lost contact with Squad D. Squad A through B, not Squad A through B. Squad A, B, and E. Keep your focus your defenses around the little safe place. Coming down there, Squad F, come on. As he's like, yes, sir. As they all get up and get all their arms ready. As Papa C carries pretty much a retro lancer. Doesn't use energy projectiles, it uses solid bullets. As I don't think that's what, the soldiers of Atlas are using. They look more like energy guns. So, yeah. Well, I don't know why, but I got a lot of spit recently. As, Papa C is making his way down to ensure everyone's safe, he starts hearing over his radio that, sir, they burrowed like a big hole in the ground. Man, these guys are kind of tough. too. Their armor's pretty dense. It's like a new form of Grim, I guess. Human shape, but they're still disappearing like they typically do. As he like moves it around, has anyone ever seen Grim like this? As he has, send me a picture, soldier. As he sends up one and heads up to display, he's like, oh yeah, I've seen this kind before, boys. Keep your eyes up. They can pop out anywhere in the ground. Are they like, is there a large amount of them? He's like, nah. This type of Grim particularly, they come in groups of like maybe 50. He's like, 50? He's like, oh, calm down, soldier. There was 25 of us stationed here. Wait. F, A, B, C. Sorry. A, and a squad typically has 6 members, so that's 6, or 1, A, B, C, D, E, F. 6 times 6 is, guess what, 36. But squad D is eliminated, so that's just 30. He's like, got easily 30 troops left, I would summarize. That's unless you're the only one of your squad left. He's like, no sir. But a good portion of squad C was wiped out. He's like, alright. Well, merge together. Have your 2 squads merge together. A and B. A, B. Keep your eyes open. Squad F and I are making our way towards you. He's like, good. As they understand that this situation is kind of tense. As, you know, the remnants of Squad C and D. No, wait, D was wiped out. Squad E are all moving their way to the compound. As they're like, sir, are you there? It's like, yep. It's like, this is a member from Squad D. The bastard's knocked me down a hole, but I am alright. So he's looking around and playing dead. But it looks like there isn't any left down here. They burrowed under the city, but there's a lot of there's like a lot of holes here. Like they've been working at this for a little while. He's like, and the Grim I have had Grim that do tunnel under you to come up with a sneaking attack. Can see if it's like anything particular. He's like, no. They don't have any weapons, no tools or anything, so they ain't sentient. But I have killed one. Bone armor. Well, not bone armor. They got that bony chitin material that a lot of Grim have. They seem ridiculous. They actually seem kind of strong. But I don't understand. Why are they human shaped? He's like, we don't really know yet. It is Grim that has showed up on different areas, though. Since they're typically stronger than the normal soldier, they typically don't take much to put down, but you never. So keep your eye out when it comes to this. Sorry if you couldn't hear me that. He says, keep your eyes out, kids. Seems like these bastards gonna start popping up again. He's like, again? He's like, yeah. They've been on several fronts. Nothing too dangerous. They show up in groups, pretty large groups. That's why I've requested that local huntsman come in and help us deal with this. Recognize the new Grim type, just to be sure. As they hear, as they're like, what the hell is that? It's like, as he gets a call from like a couple of sentries on the towers and such. He's like, sir, we got a much bigger problem than maybe 50 Grim in the base. As one guy takes an audible guppy, he's like, there seems to be quite a lot of Grim out there, sir. They seem like the ones you sent a picture of, but there's bigger ones. There's a bigger one. There's a few bigger ones among them. And they look even worse than the others. He's like, really? What do you mean? He's like, well, one looks like he just, oh god. As he says how one of them just smashed 3 of the ones in front of them into bits. And the other ones are holding. The Grim don't look like they're moving at all. How many of the ones that look like the picture I sent you? He's like, there's probably about maybe 30, maybe 50 of those. Then there's like 4 or 5 of the bigger fuckers. He's like, I don't really know, sir. As he's like, all right. Listen, I'm gonna come over there and see what I can do. If there's nothing, then let's hope the huntsmen get here. Otherwise, as he looks back at the compound, he's like, the civilians won't stand too much of a chance. As that's where I'm going to be ending this one off at. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope you guys continue to enjoy this. I hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life.